How's it going, everyone? My name is Mulder and welcome to GameChron, your #1 stop for tips and tricks on your favorite video games. Today we're taking a dive into our Star Wars Squadrons Preview and Thoughts video. Now, Star Wars Squadrons takes place at the end of Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi, just as the Empire has lost its second Death Star. The Empire is on the run and forced to use guerrilla tactics in order to strike at the rebels that are currently trying to rebuild the Republic. This is where you come in, to where you can decide which campaign you like to play first, either the rebels or the Empire. Now, I have to be honest here, I'm really hoping that both the rebels and the Empire storylines have between 7 to 10 hours worth of story to share with us. The Empire's coming around them, supplies are low, so it's really have to force the Empire to have to use certain guerrilla tactics similar to what the rebels had to do to them in order to gain supplies and survive. It definitely made me excited to kind of see this type of story because, again, I've never actually seen this in any of the movies or animated TV shows or even any of the video games. Many of the stories that I've seen both on the television shows and on video games is that usually our character starts off as the Empire, but then later on realizes that they want to join the Rebel Alliance, and it never really stays with the Empire from start to finish. I'm really hoping for a dark and gritty story both for the Empire and the Rebels, but we'll have to wait and see when the game comes out. Now, we all know that when it comes to a game like this, the campaign story, no matter how good they are, is usually a setup and training for us to play better just before we jump into multiplayer, which, by the way, will have 4 ships per faction you can jump into. These ships are, along with their rival counterparts, the T-65 X-Wing Starfighter and the TIE LN Fighter, the BTL Y-Wing Bomber and the TIE SA Bomber, the RZ-1 A-Wing Interceptor and the TIE IN Interceptor, the UT-60D U-Wing Support Craft, and finally the TIE RP Reaper. Now, each one of these ships has their own pros and cons when using them in battle, and oftentimes your particular ship's rival counterpart doesn't have the same exact setup as you do. For example, TIE Interceptors have a high maneuverability and high firepower, low armor, and no shields. However, their rival counterpart, the A-Wing Interceptors, have high maneuverability, high firepower, and low armor just like they do, but they actually do come with a low shield loadout. Now, I'm really hoping that EA has balanced out the fighters on each side to where we won't have a particular faction dominating the other, but there will be an opportunity for you to level the playing field or even give yourself an advantage thanks to your ship components. Now, there are going to be 7 component slots per ship. However, if your ship doesn't come with a shield, you'll only have 6. These components will focus on your ship's engines, shields, hull, countermeasures, primary weapons, and auxiliary. Starships can come equipped with 3 passive components, which means these passive components will automatically activate the moment your ship takes off. These components could be enhanced shields, better targeting for your ship, or launching countermeasures whenever a missile's locked onto you. It really depends on what type of passive component you're going to attach to your ship. But after you've attached your 3 passive components, then you're going to have to attach 4 active components. These 4 active components you'll have to activate yourself in the midst of battle. These active components can range from increasing your ship's overall primary weapon damage, increased engine velocity, stabilizing any type of damage your ship's currently taken if you're able to get away from the battle for a few moments. There really is quite a lot of components, as you can see on this list, that you can throw into your ship that are both passive and active components that you can use. Another good thing I like about this game is that not only can you customize your ship's components layout, but you can also customize how your pilot and ship looks like. Cosmetic customization can be unlocked thanks to glory points that you earn simply by playing the game, whether you're winning or losing. So long as you're participating in the battles in some function, you'll get glory points that you can spend on your pilot and ship later on. This can range between how you want your pilot to look like, what color your ship is, to even the inside of what your ship looks like as you're flying, including adding a little cute little Ewok bobblehead as you're flying around. I'm really going to be diving into the ship components for each one of these starships in my tips and tricks video series, so definitely stick around for that. There will be 6 space battle arenas that we can fight in, such as Navin Prime and the Nadiri Dockyards, just to name a few. These 6 space arenas will differ in size depending upon the mode that you choose to play in. Speaking of mode, there will be 2 multiplayer modes at the launch of the game. The first one, of course, is Dogfight, which is a 5 vs 5 straightforward team deathmatch, where the team with the most kills and most points at the end wins the match. But the mode that I'm really looking forward to is Fleet Battles, which is a tug-of-war mode that we've seen similar in games like Battlefield and even Star Wars Battlefront that came out back on the original Xbox, PlayStation 2, and the current gen systems of Xbox One and PlayStation 4. In Fleet Battles, both you and the enemy team will dogfight it out in the center of the map to see which side takes the area first. Depending upon which side earns the most morale points simply by destroying enemy fighters or completing objectives in that area, the attacking team will push forward trying to shoot down enemy ships, while the defending team will try to defend their side. Each side will have 2 cruiser ships that you'll have to defend or attack in order to move on to the main capital ship. Once the 2 small cruiser ships have been destroyed, the main capital ship will be open for attack. Again, similar to what we've seen in Star Wars Battlefront games, you'll be able to decide which part of the ship you want to focus on to destroy in order to weaken that ship. Bear in mind that at any given time, the enemy team can actually push you back and actually launch a counter-strike if you're not careful. This intense tug-of-war reminds me a lot of Battlefield, and I'm really looking forward to playing this mode overall. A great thing too is that as you're dogfighting against other pilots, or if you're being shot at yourself, you can actually divert power to either your guns, to your shields, or to your engine. If you have an enemy in front of you that you're trying to shoot down, but their shields are getting in your way, you can actually divert power to your main primary weapons, allowing them to overcharge and do extra damage. Same goes that if you're being shot at from behind from an enemy, you can actually actually turn on where you want your shields to focus on primarily, either on the front or the back of your ship, while also throwing more power into your shields until either you get away from the enemy or an ally comes to help you out. This option to divert power to your primary weapons, to shields, to even your engines is going to open the doors for a lot of different gameplay scenarios that you can tackle depending upon what situation you're in. It really looks like the dev team has put a lot of heart and care into this mechanic, allowing players to really dive in and customize the ship the way they want it. This type of mechanic will definitely make things easier for more experienced players, but still keeping it balanced for more casual players as well. Overall, I'm really looking forward to this game and I can't wait to dive into it. Of course, I'm a little hesitant because it does have that EA logo slapped on it, but again, because we're seeing so much good stuff come from Star Wars Squadrons so far, I have a lot of hope that the dev team was given full opportunity to utilize the license that they were building for. Because everything so far, from the customizations of your ships, to the ship components, to even the areas that you get to fight in, all seem to be very reminiscent of the Star Wars license, and these devs have really gone out of their way to develop a very solid product. But again, we won't know until the game comes out, which we'll be definitely covering here on the channel with tips and tricks on every single ship and ship component in our series of videos. So definitely stick around to our Star Wars Squadrons tip video series when that kicks off next week. I really cannot wait to dive into Star Wars Squadrons with you, but I'm also going to be covering Watch Dogs Legion when that comes out, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Cyberpunk 2077, Far Cry 6, and so much more. So be sure to stick around. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for a lot more. Star Wars Squadrons is right around the corner, but until then, I'm Mulder, and I'll see you next time in the GameChron.
Makes history.
5 pilots.
1 squadron.
The galaxy's finest.